I love this chapter. I love this piece. I love this composer. Claude Debussy. Very famous French composer, probably the most important French composer in history, and directly linked with the Impressionist movement in painting and art from the late 19th century and into the early 20th century as well. Impressionist painting, if you don't know much about that, is was kind of started primarily by Claude Monet, where instead of being like clear pictures, portraits, paintings of scenes like you would be used to seeing, you just got an impression, a lot of blurred colors, a lot of indistinct shapes and figures out on the water. Monet is very famous actually for painting the same church 24 times, each at a different hour of the day, because the lighting was different and each painting was massively different as a result. The colors were different, the shadows were different, the sun was different, the lighting was different. So this was an incredibly important and impactful style of art, and a change in art, a move away from kind of the strict outlines that had come earlier. And so music kind of jumped on that train as well in Paris. And Debussy was the forerunner, the kind of pioneer of musical impressionism. Instead of having a clear melody, you have an impression. He would write music that evoked a feeling rather than, oh, I can hum that tune back at the end of a piece. So this again is a ballet, and it's a great ballet. It's called The Prelude to an Afternoon of the Faun. Now this is faun, F-A-U-N, not F-A-W, and it's not a baby deer. Faun, F-A-U-N, refers to the Greek mythological character that is half man, half goat. Think of Pan. If you know the story of Pan, Pan plays a very specific instrument. Do you know what it is? It's called the Pan pipe. It's a series of longer and then shorter a row of little flutes, basically, or reeds that you can play different pitches on. And so what's interesting at the beginning of this ballet, the Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, Debussy gives the melody, the main tune, to a really rich, luscious, low-register flute. It's borderline sexy, to be honest. And that really works because this story, the choreography, in fact, the dancing moves of this particular ballet is kind of naughty, to be honest. Let's be honest here, truly. All right, I'll give you the 2019 breakdown of what goes on. A faun, a half man, half goat, wakes up on a rock in the middle of the forest. He stretches. It's a bit weird how he stretches, especially with his hips. We'll leave it at that. And so he's just kind of waking up, and then all of a sudden 4 wood nymphs show up. If you don't know what a nymph is, it's kind of like a fairy that lives in a tree, right? A very specific tree. So these nymphs come in, they start dancing. He starts looking at them like, dang, they fun. Checking them out. He really likes the queen or the head nymph, and he has a little private dance with her. And if you go on YouTube and look up original choreography, Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, you'll get to watch what goes on in that choreography. It's very angular, but their bodies start intertwining in very interesting and weird positions. Again, we'll leave it at that. She runs off but leaves her veil. She leaves her veil, and he takes that and he sniffs it and he rubs it all over his body, which, by the way, in the original performance is really just an actor, a dancer, wearing a onesie that is see-through, that is nude, but with strategically placed spots. Again, I'll leave that up to your imagination. But so he has this veil, he's rubbing it all over his body, he's smelling it, he takes it back to his rock where he was sleeping, and he quite literally mounts it with a very visible thrust at the end. Again, a little, not even a little subtle, it's kind of dirty. Let's just say, it's dirty. Okay? And it caused a riot. It caused a riot in the streets at the performance at the Paris Opera House where it was premiered. It caused a riot. One, because that's not what dancing is supposed to be. You're supposed to wear a tutu. You're supposed to spin. You're supposed to lift people up. It's supposed to be graceful and beautiful. Not this angular kind of sexuality that was just inappropriate for the late 1800s. This is a great piece. Once again, it's a tone poem. Think about that. A melodic or poem literature, right? But that's of notes, right? It's a single movement. It doesn't always have a strict form, although this piece does have a bit of a stricter form. You can follow that along with your listening guide. It's a great piece, Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, and a perfect example of French impressionism in music by Debussy.